This conference will now be recorded.
So we'll continue with the receipt vouchers, which we had done in the previous session. The first transaction we had covered for received rent commission for JP Nagar branch. And then we had furniture worth sale of 15,000. Then, of course, Vinod had introduced 6 lakh into the business by the HDFC bank check. Then company had received a SBI check for 16,000 from Priya. And then the last one we have to pass is received brokerage charges by cash of rupees 3,000. So when the company is receiving brokerage charges by cash of rupees 3,000, right? So here brokerage charges will be categorized under which group? It will be categorized under the group of indirect income. So we'll go back to the receipt vouchers. Okay, so F6 receipt vouchers. So let's select F6 receipt vouchers. Now here 3,000 cash I'm receiving of brokerage services, brokerage charges. Anyhow, we can define the ledger. So here, select the create option and create a ledger as brokerage charges. Under indirect income. Now, yes,
Ma'am.
yes, tell me.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yeah, tell me. What's your doubt?
In my screen, I'm not getting the bank allocation screen, ma'am.
You want me to explain the bank allocation screen?
It directly takes me to the narration part.
You're not getting the bank allocation screen.
Yes, ma'am.
We will discuss it. Okay. So as of now, we can pass this voucher, then I'll come back to that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Now here, the cost center should be applicable or no? It should be not applicable because I have just given here brokerage receive brokerage charges by cash of 3,000. For this particular branch, I have not given. Yes. So cost center should be deactivated. So please deactivate the cost centers. Cost centers are applicable? No. Is GST applicable? You can press a space bar. Not applicable. Enter and save the ledger. Now, what is the total amount being received? 3,000 rupees. In the amount column, type 3,000 rupees. Once you type, press enter. Another enter. And here you have the list of ledgers. So here, since brokerage charges are received by cash, so we'll select the cash ledger. Yes, so this is how it comes. So being brokerage charges received by cash. Okay, so once you type the narration, press enter. Yes, so this is how we pass the last receipt voucher. So please pass the entry under receipt voucher. Yes. Now, one of you was not getting the bank allocation screen. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, may I know your name, please?
I'm Neha.
Neha, okay. Now, in which you were not getting? In the payment vouchers, receipt vouchers, or any voucher shall I take? Should I go for a receipt voucher again? Right? So where you're not able to get the bank allocation screen. Now here, I will take a previous entry, or you would like to have for which entry you're not able to get a bank allocation screen. Or I'll take the same entry, received a State Bank of India check of 16,000 from Priya. Okay, so here I can view how the bank allocation screen it appears. Now received a check of 16,000
Ma'am,
from Priya.
after typing the
Yes.
debit and credit,
After? What is the doubt you're having? Now the bank allocation screen is not appearing in your
ma'am,
company.
after the credit and debit aspect, yes, ma'am.
After, after the credit and debit aspect,
It directly takes me to the narration part.
yeah, that's what I will explain you with the voucher now, right? Where you have a allocation stream would appear. Okay. Now here we are taking a receipt of 16,000 State Bank of India check from Priya. Now here you have to get the bank allocation stream. So as I told you in the previous class that I am depositing the State Bank of India check in my company's bank account, assuming that my company's bank account is Canara Bank. So there automatically in the bank allocation details will give the State Bank of India check. So when I'm receiving a check from Priya, Priya becomes the giver. Yes. So I will select Priya's account. This is for the one who is having the doubt. The others can just look over the entry. The ones who are able to pass and who are getting the bank allocation screen. So 16,000 Priya. Now here we'll take it as on account. So here Canara Bank, I will select it. Now before going further, where you're not able to get the bank allocation screen, what you have to do, Neha, is you have to press F12 configuration. Before you press enter on the amount, you have to press F12 configuration. And over here, now at the right hand side under bank details, what is appearing for you? Is it yes or no? Use default bank allocations and show bank allocation details. Is it appearing as no or yes?
No, ma'am.
Both are appearing no. If one is appearing as yes, please deactivate as no. Yes. So all these three under bank details, use default bank allocations, it has to be no. Show bank allocation details, no. And then remove bank date while altering reconcile voucher, all three has to be no. If one of them is yes, please deactivate it. Now you'll be able to get the bank allocation screen. You have to get it. Now here also you can press F12 configuration. Here actually you have received from remarks instrument this check number and the branch name. Other than this, you're not having any other feature. So what you have to do is in the amount column only you have to press enter. Yes, so here you get the bank allocation screen. I hope you've got your answer. Now here you can give the check number and the bank details. As State Bank of.
Yes, ma'am. I got it. Thank you.
You are able to get it? Okay. So being payment received from Priya. The same
Yes,
entry
ma'am.
of done. Very good. So like this, we have completed the receipt vouchers. Okay. Now we'll go for the next entry. Yes. This is the most important voucher of all, that is a journal voucher. Now, what is the functional key for a contra voucher? It is F4. Now, for a payment voucher, it is F5. A receipt voucher, if For receipt voucher, we used F6. Yes. Now, for a journal voucher, it is F7. So F7 is the function key for a journal voucher. Now, contra voucher would communicate one thing, that I am applicable for contra-based entries, that is cash to bank to cash, and bank to bank. That's it. So it is a restrictive confined voucher where it confines only for these entries. If I talk about the payment voucher, the payment made for any business transaction are all recorded in a payment voucher. Then if I take a receipt voucher, if I have to receive any source of income for the business, I go for a receipt voucher. Now, if I talk about a journal voucher, what is the case? Now here I've given as journal voucher is referred as the adjustment voucher in Tally. All types of transactions can be entered in this voucher except cash and bank related. Right? Now, contra voucher, what is the syntax? If I go back to the contra voucher screen, yes, so here I have credit, cash or bank, and debit we have is this cash or bank. Yes, so we have no other ledger being operative. Yes, this was the syntax we followed in the contra voucher where credit, cash or bank, debit, cash or bank only. Now, if we talk about the syntax for the payment voucher, the debit aspect was the nature of expense and the credit aspect was cash or bank. So in the credit aspect, we have cash or bank. If I talk about the receipt voucher syntax, over here, the credit aspect was the source of income, that ledger, and the debit aspect was cash or bank, how we are receiving the funds. Now, this is the situation in all these three vouchers. So in all three vouchers, cash or bank is present. Now, when we talk about a journal voucher has entries which are non-cash and non-bank based entries, where there is no cash or bank at all. So such transactions, such entries are passed in the journal voucher. That's why journal voucher is also regarded as the adjustment voucher in Tally. That's first. Second thing is those transactions which don't find a place in any of the books. I hope all of you have the knowledge of the subsidiary books, right? Where we have the cash book, we have the purchase book, purchase return book, sales returns book, and we have the journal proper. So those entries which don't find a place in any of the books in the sense cash book, purchase, sales, and the returns book, they all find a place in the last book, that is a journal proper. So journal proper is a book where such kind of entries would be recorded. Now, what kind of entries find a place? Here I've given a few main transactions like depreciation of assets or appreciation of assets. Then most important are the outstandings, receivables, payables, right? So if I talk about the receivables, nothing but sundry debtors. If I talk about payables, nothing but sundry creditors. And the last one, transfer of funds from one partner's capital account to another partner's capital account. So such kind of entries finds a place in journal vouchers. Apart from these, there are n number of examples like loss of goods by theft. Goods can be stopped, or loss of assets by theft, by fire. Then we have this rectification entries, transfer entries. All these entries cannot be recorded in any of the vouchers, but such entries find a place in the journal voucher, right? So identification of the transaction plays a very important role in accounting. Only when you are able to identify, analyze the transactions, passing the voucher is extremely easier, right? So the function key, as I told, is F7. So here we have certain practical exercises on journal vouchers, right? So here we will use one more feature of Tally, which I had told you in the first, or rather the initial sessions, that one of the panes is horizontal. Here we have in the horizontal button bar, we have n number of options, right? In addition to that, we also have a calculator pane, right? So Tally software has an inbuilt calculator which can be used for calculation purposes. Though we are having a calculators, mobile phones, fine. But in addition to that, Tally also has an inbuilt calculator, right? So let's use the same and calculate the amount. So let's go back to the Tally screen. Right. Now here, what's the functional key? It is F7. So please press F7 and come to the journal voucher. I hope all of you are on the journal vouchers. Now we are back to the same. The debit aspect appears first and the credit aspect appears next, which means contra vouchers and receipt vouchers have the same positioning of credit aspect and debit aspect, right? The credit appears first, debit appears next in which voucher? Contra and receipt. In journal and payment voucher, as usual, debit appears first and credit appears next. Okay, so let's start with the journal vouchers. Right, the first one we have depreciate furniture by 3% whose book value is 15,000. So furniture value has to be depreciated by 3%, where the book value or the carrying amount or the cost price, however you define it, is 15,000. Now here, how can we pass the entry? Now depreciation is created under which group? A ledger of depreciation can be created under which group? Now depreciation is the reduction in the value of the assets, right? Due to passage of time, wear and tear, usage and all these, right? So if I have to create a depreciation ledger, I have to create the ledger under the group of indirect expenses. Why? Because depreciation is also a non-operating expenditure and it finds a place in your profit and loss statement and it is in the nature of an indirect expense for the company. So please create depreciation ledger under the group of indirect expenses. So select the create option, depreciation. Under indirect expenses. Type of ledger not applicable. Cost center no. GST as usual not applicable. Accept the ledger. Now here, I hope all of you have created the depreciation ledger so that we can start altogether the calculation. If you're yet to create it, please create the ledger for depreciation. Okay. Now here, first you have to click Control. Okay. Now here, for using the calculator pane after pressing the key, the next one, here you have to press Alt C. Please press Alt C. Are you able to get the calculator pane? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Let me know because if you don't respond, then I may not be sure that is it appearing or no in your screens. Thanks. So here we have the calculator pane. Now here you have to calculate 3% of 15,000. So what you have to do is first type the amount 15,000. It will appear at the bottom in the yellow bar. So 15,000, type the amount as 15,000, then shift key and asterisk. I think that would be number 8. Shift key and asterisk, the into sign. Okay. Next, type number 3. Type number 3. And again, shift and percentage. That should be number 5. Shift key and percentage. Both has to be done together. Once you're done with that, immediately press enter. Don't give space bar in between, please. If you give, it is gone. Right? So press enter immediately. All of you are able to get the depreciation amount of 450?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So now press enter. Yes.
Ma'am, can you repeat it?
I think there is a disturbance at the back. Please. Yeah. It will be.
Ma'am, I was telling. Can you repeat it again? How to calculate the depreciation amount? Can you repeat
First
it?
press Alt C. Have you typed Alt C? Have you got the calculator pane now? Yes. Highlighted. Is your calculator pane highlighted? Once it is highlighted, type the amount as 15,000. It is appearing in the screen. It is visible to you. Type 15,000 first. Okay. Then immediately shift and asterisk key. That's into multiplication sign. Type 3. Shift percentage. Press enter immediately. Are you able to get the depreciation amount now? Yes?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, credit we have is furniture. So to select the furniture ledger. Yes, so this is how we get the entry. Now here you can observe neither there is cash nor there is bank account involved. We're just calculating depreciation amount on the furniture. So press enter and come back to the narration and type the narration as being furniture value depreciated by 3%. Right, so being furniture value depreciated by 3%. Once you type the narration, pass the entry. Accept, yes. So this is how we pass the first entry under journal vouchers. Now, the next one we will pass for appreciation. Now, appreciation means there's an increase in the value of assets, yes? Now, which are the assets which are always subject to appreciation? Examples? Almost, right? They are subject to appreciation always. So which are those assets?
Buildings.
Land and building, yes. Then most important you're forgetting. One is land and building. Second, a woman's most favorite. What is it? What is our favorite? It is jewelry. Yes. Isn't jewelry subject to appreciation always? There is an increase of gold. Yes. It's also. So these are the assets which are always subject to appreciation, right? Now, if you take the example of jewelry, when, of course, when your grandparents had made, it would costed a few lakhs, right? Or probably much more earlier, probably 50,000 or 75,000 or 1 lakh. But now the same jewelry, if you go to any showroom and just find out what is the current market value, would it be less or would it be more? It will be very much. It will be more. Yes or no? So it is subject to appreciation. So we have jewelries, any precious metals. Okay, and we have land and building. So these are the assets which are always subject to appreciation, subject to certain situations where the value may be less, but apart from that, it's like they are subject to appreciation. So in the same context, we will also pass the entry. Right. Second entry we have appreciate the value of land by 7% whose value is 5 lakhs. Value of the land is 5 lakhs and we have to calculate the appreciation on the same. 5 lakhs into 7%. Now how you did depreciation? In the same way appreciation. If depreciation becomes my indirect expenses, appreciation should become my indirect income. Yes. So now if depreciation has to be debited, debit all the expenses and losses, appreciation should be credited, right? Credit the incomes and gains. So debit aspect has to be land, right? So let's pass the same entry. So first you have to do is create a ledger as land account, or you can also give it as land and building, not an issue. Under fixed assets, same cost center, no. GST not applicable. Enter and close the ledger. Now we have to calculate 7% of 5 lakh. So press Alt to C again, because again the calculator pane has to be activated. It is deactivated on it will appear grayish, right, in color. So press Alt to C. It will be activated back, right? It will appear with the blue and the yellow bar. Now, same way, type 5 lakhs first. Let us do it together. Type 5 lakhs first. Shift asterisk. That's into sign. Type 7. Again, shift percentage. Press enter immediately. Yes, so we get the appreciated value of 35,000. So press enter, and here also we have to create an appreciation ledger. So we will select the create option at the top and create a ledger as appreciation. Under indirect income. Yes, so this is how we pass the entry, being land value appreciated by 7%. So here also we don't find the cash and the bank ledgers. Yes, it is again a non-cash, non-bank entry. So being land value appreciated by 7. Yes. And this is how we type the narration, and we will pass the entry. So once you pass the first 2 entries, you can close the calculator pane. Okay. You can just press on the into mark, which you can observe here. Okay. Just take a single click and then the calculator pane gets closed. Okay. So we have passed 2 journal vouchers as of now. Let's go for the next entry. Transfer of cash of 10,000 from Shyam's capital account to Vinod's capital account. Now, though I have told you there is a transfer of cash of 10,000 from Shyam to Vinod, here the entry is an inter-partners capital transfer. So here, from one partner's capital account, it is being transferred to another, like your interbank transfer under contra vouchers. So here, Shyam and Vinod are 2 partners of a firm. 10,000 is being transferred from Shyam's account to Vinod's account. Now here, Shyam and Vinod both are personal account. So if we apply the rule of personal, debit the receiver, credit the giver. So who is the receiver here? Vinod becomes the receiver and Shyam becomes the giver. So let's pass the entry for the same. So debit the receiver, so debit Vinod's capital account. So Vinod's account is already existing in the list of ledgers. If you observe, Vinod's account is already there. So select Vinod's account. Now what is the transfer amount? It is 10,000. Press enter. Type the amount as 10,000. Press enter. Press again another enter. And now who is the giver? It is Shyam. So Shyam's capital account is also existing, which we had created for the earlier vouchers. So select Shyam's capital account. Yes. So being funds transferred from Shyam to Vinod. Okay. And this is the way we pass the entry. Right. Now, the fourth and the fifth one is very interesting in journal vouchers. So it requires a good amount of observation to pass the fourth and the fifth entry. So let's discuss the fourth one. I hope all of you are done with the transfer of cash from Shyam to Vinod's capital. Now, issued a bill to Bharat investors for consultancy services provided on credit. Now here, we have to assume a situation. Company has issued a bill of 10,000 rupees to Bharat investors for consultancy services provided. Company has provided consultancy services to one of its clients. The client is Bharat investors. The total value or the total bill for the services rendered is 10,000. Bill has been issued to Bharat investors. Bharat investors has not made the payment yet. How can we come to know? Whatever given in the end, issued a bill of rupees 10,000 to Bharat investors for consultancy services provided on credit. Yes. So Bharat investors have not yet paid to the company. They have not made any payment. So 10,000 is pending to be received from Bharat investors. Now this entry, how can we pass in the journal voucher? What can be your answer? Now, first of all, before passing the entry, we have to first identify the necessary ledgers. So which are the two prominent ledgers over here for passing the journal entry? One of them is Bharat investors. Second is consultancy services. Yes. Bharat investors is the client's name. Second, for what we have issued a bill for consultancy services. So we have two things, two ledgers. Now, if we have to create a ledger in the name of Bharat investors, we have to create it under which group? Bharat investors can be categorized under which group? Let me know the answer.
Creditors.
Sundry. Creditors, sundry debtors, what is it? Please think once, understand the transaction, and then you can answer.
Sundry debtors.
Why we have to categorize Bharat Investors as a sundry debtor? Why? Because company has issued a bill to Bharat Investors. Yes, company has not received a bill. So whenever a company issues a bill to its customers, right? So that time the customer, the client, whoever it is, will be categorized as sundry debtor. If a company receives a bill, then it will be the reversal case. Now here, Bharat Investors is one of the clients for whom the bill has been issued. So it is a sundry debtor. Now, one is clear, Bharat Investors. Next ledger we have is consultancy services. Now, consultancy services ledger have to be created under which group? One we have made it clear. The second one is, it is a direct income, or it can also be categorized under indirect income. Anything holds good, but it is an income for the company. Now this complete entry, how can we pass? Let's go back to the journal voucher. Yes. So here in the journal voucher, we have to debit Bharat Investors. So create a ledger in the name of Bharat Investors on spot. Under sundry debtors. So please make sure maintain balances bill by bill is appearing in your ledger creation screen for Bharat Investors. Enter. Accept, yes. Now what is the total amount which has been billed for Bharat? It is 10,000 rupees. So type the amount as 10,000. Once you type the amount, press enter. Yes. Now in the methods of adjustment, which type of reference should I give? Should I select? Which is the right answer? Is it advance, against, new, or on account? I'll come back to the entry here. Please do observe. Is it advance, new reference, against reference, or on account? For this entry, issued a bill to Bharat Investors for consultancy services provided on credit. So type of reference, which one we have to choose?
New reference.
Very good. It is a new reference. So please select new reference. Why? Because I have not received a single payment from Bharat Investors. Consultancy services are provided, a bill has been issued, but after rendering the services, I have not received the payment, which means it is still pending. So it will be a new reference. So in the name, you can just give as Bharat Investors. Now the due date. The due date or the credit days, what you can give it as? Let's assume Bharat Investors is making payment after 3 days, right? So give it as 3. Type only 3 and press enter. So at the bottom, can you observe it will be showing as 4th April or 5th April. Okay. So by 4th April, I have to receive the payment from Bharat Investors. Press enter and come back to the journal voucher creation screen. Now, press enter on credit. Now, for which service I have issued a bill? It is consultancy services. So we have to create again a ledger on spot. Consultancy services under direct income. So select the group of direct income, type of ledger not applicable. Make sure cost centers are deactivated. Don't activate the cost centers. GST can make it as not applicable. Yes. So this is how we pass the entry. Right. So once you're done, press enter and come back to the narration. So narration, how you have to pass is being consultancy services provided on credit. Okay. So once you type the narration, press enter, accept, yes, done. So pass the entry if you haven't done. Yes. Now, payment is pending from Bharat investors, yet company is yet to receive 10,000 from Bharat investors. Now, how can I keep a check on my receivable? Now, I am yet to receive 10,000 from Bharat. So it becomes my receivable, bills receivable for the company. Now, how can I keep a check of all these outstandings, bills receivable? Where do I go and check in Tally? You have to press Alt G, go to option, press Alt G, go to option. Over here, if you can observe, under trial balance, you have bills receivable. Select bills receivable, press enter. Yes, so here you can observe that a bill of rupees 10,000 is yet to be received from Bharat investors. Yes, so here we can make out. The 10,000 is pending to be received from Bharat investors. If in case if we are using the licensed version, that time if we give the date also, that time it will that time it will show on due on this date, and if it is not yet received with that particular date, it will also show you overdue by days. Right? So press escape key and come back to the journal voucher creation screen. Now, after 3 days, Bharat investors makes the payment for the consultancy services. Now, I have to record the same entry in my books of accounts in Tally. Now, which voucher should I use? I'll repeat the entry. Bharat investors, after 3 days, makes the payment for the consultancy services to my company. I will record the same entry in my company's books of accounts. So to record this entry, which voucher should I use? Now we have covered 4 vouchers, right? Contract. It is?
Receipt.
It is a receipt voucher because I'm receiving payment from Bharat investors. So what you have to do is you have to press F6. Press F6, receipt voucher. Now here you have to be very careful. Now I'll just equate how the transaction appears. Now the first entry, what we had passed, it was debit Bharat investors, credit consultancy services. So again, it is a non-cash, non-bank transaction. Right? Now, what entry will pass in the receipt voucher? Let's assume that Bharat investor is giving a check of Axis Bank towards the payment for the consultancy services, which I will deposit in my company's bank account. Now, the credit aspect appears first. Yes, in the receipt voucher, which you can observe. Now, I am receiving from whom? Billed in the name of whom? It is Bharat Investors. So credit, so the debit aspect becomes a credit aspect in receipt voucher. So Bharat Investors account, and debit will be, if your company's bank account is Canara Bank or HDFC, you can choose. Okay. This is the way we pass the entry. Now this, when we pass the entry under journal voucher, we have tagged the entry as new reference. Yes. Now this, we have to pass the entry. What can it be? Which type of reference would be chosen here? It will be against reference, because against the bill, the transaction is getting settled, closed, right? So this is how the entry appears in your company's books of accounts. I hope it's clear to all of you. Let's pass the same entry in the receipt vouchers. So credit, to select Bharat Investors. Once you select Bharat Investors, type the amount as 10,000, because 10,000 is pending to be received from Bharat. Yes. Now in the methods of adjustments, against reference is automatically highlighted. I have not selected the against reference bill. Tally will automatically select it. Why? Because it also knows that some bill is pending, some amount to be received from Bharat Investors. So just press enter and see what happens. Yes. So here we get the pending bills list. Suppose there are like 3-4 bills of Bharat Investors, all bills will appear here. As of now, we're having one single bill of Bharat Investors. So here it is showing name Bharat Investors, date, on which date, how much is pending, balance, and what's the final balance, right? So just press enter. That's only our job. Yes, press again one more enter and come back to the journal voucher, receipt voucher creation screen. Right, so now press enter and now choose the company's bank account. Now here I'm choosing Canara Bank. Press enter again. Yes. So here, same method we use. As I told, Bharat Investors will issue a check of Axis Bank. So press enter and come to the instrument number, bank name, space bar, specify bank name, and type the name of the bank as Axis Bank. Yes, so we are back to the narration. So being payment received from Bharat Investors, you can give via bill number 001 or whatever the bill number if you would like to. Or B, payment received from Bharat Investors towards the consultancy services provided. So being payment received from Bharat Investors towards the consultancy services provided. So once you type the narration, pass through. Accept, yes. So then we have the last entry here under journal vouchers. Received a bill of 8,000 from Maruti Enterprises for stationery purchased on credit. Company has received a bill from Maruti for stationery purchased on credit. Now there, company had issued a bill to Bharat. So Bharat became my sundry debtor in the nature of nothing but my customer. Here, company is receiving a bill from Maruti Enterprises, which means Maruti Enterprises will be created under the group of sundry creditors. Yes. Now, if you go for the previous entry, the company issues a bill for consultancy services provided. Henceforth, consultancy services becomes my income. Now, in this entry, company has received a bill for stationery purchased on credit. So the stationery becomes my expense, becomes a company expenditure, right? So let's pass the entry. So how the entry can be drafted? Let's see. So this is how we have passed the entry for Bharat Investors, right? So debit is stationery, debit all expenses and losses. And your credit aspect is Maruti Enterprises. And since it has been purchased on credit, which type of reference we will select? It is a new reference. Okay, so this is the entry we pass in the journal voucher. Right? So let's pass the same. So let's go back to the journal voucher, F7 journal voucher. Debit stationery. Create a ledger as stationery. Under indirect expenses. Cost center, no. GST not applicable. So the total amount is 8,000. Credit Maruti Enterprises. Create ledger as Maruti Enterprises. Sundry credit. So here we have to choose again new reference. Name Maruti Enterprises. Now the due date.
Is this sundry creditors?
Yes, it has to be a sundry creditor because I have purchased from him. He's a supplier for the company. Henceforth, it will be the nature of a creditor. In the due date of the credit days, let's assume Maruti Enterprises gives a term of 2 days. So within 2 days, I have to pay make the payment of 8,000 rupees. So just type 2 in the due date of the credit days. Enter, enter. Yes, so here we come back to the notation. So being stationery purchased on credit from Maruti Enterprises, you have to give the same as notation. So are you done with the entry? If you're done, accept, yes. So if you have not done, please pass the entry. Right. So once we are done with the entry, now if I have to view the pending amount to be paid to Maruti Enterprises, which report I would have to go?
Bills payable.
Yes, it is bills payable. So we have to press Alt G again. And beneath bills receivable, we have this bills payable. Yes, so here you can observe the pending amount to be paid to Maruti is 8,000 rupees. So if you press enter on that, you'll also get which voucher, which number voucher we have used. Okay, and what is the amount. So press escape key. Now, since I have to make payment to Maruti Enterprises, I would use a payment voucher to clear the bills. So press F5. All of you press F5, payment voucher. Now, since the funds are moving out of the company, credit, cash or bank. So debit, it has to be Maruti Enterprises. So type the amount as 8,000. It will be against reference. Press enter, enter, and press enter again. Now here, I have to pay Maruti Enterprises. So I will leave it to you. Either you can choose cash or you can choose bank. So option is yours. Okay. Now, in case if I'm choosing bank also, in case if I'm making the payment through GPay, Google Pay or Phone Pay or whatever it is, I can do that. How? I can choose the bank, press enter. As I've explained you earlier in the contra vouchers, yeah, we can change the mode. So press the space bar and you have show mode, right? Now here you have ATM, card, check, ECS, e-fund transfer, others. So in case if you would wish to select ATM, select card. Anyhow, if I'm using GPay, then I will go for others. So I'll select others, 8,000. So I need not give the check number here. Press enter and come back to the narration. So here, being payment made towards the stationery purchased. Right? So this is how we pass the entry. Please pass the entry, the ones who have not done. Accept, yes. Now, payment has been made to Maruti Enterprises, yes. Now, if we go back and check our bills, receivables and bills payable, would the pending amount still appear? No. But let's find out. Let's check. So we'll go to the Alt G option again. And first let's check for Bharat Investors. Bills receivable. So select bills receivable. Press enter. Alt G. Yes. Now Bharat Investors is no more appearing. Okay. So it is, the bills are being settled. Now again, if you press Alt G, and we'll go to the bills payable. Now here again, there is no pending amount. There is no due amount here, right? So we press escape. So like this, we can make out that which are the pending bills and how are they being settled. And once they're settled, that is still appearing in my reports. Okay. So this is how we pass journal voucher. So if you could observe, in all the entries, there was no cash or bank involvement. Yes, in all the 5 entries, there was neither cash nor bank account debited or credited. We were debiting or crediting any ledger other than cash or bank. So that is journal vouchers. So hope it is clear to all of you, or any confusions are there, let me know.
No, ma'am.
So next we go for location. Right. So far we have covered contra vouchers, payment vouchers, receipt vouchers, and we have journal vouchers. So these are the pure accounting vouchers where there is no involvement of any inventory, in the sense the stock aspect. Now we are about to discuss inventory accounting cum inventory based vouchers, like purchase voucher, sales voucher. But before that, we have to do some background work, some creation of some features, masters, and all that. So first of all, we will discuss the concept of location. So location is nothing but godown, place of storage. So every company, every entity, industry will have a place of storage. Even though if you take a small office, that will also have a storeroom, right? So where all the raw materials, finished goods, or any kind of materials, everything is stored. So these location or the godown details can also be updated in the Tally software. Now, if I give an example of Girias, Chroma, eZone, right? All these outlets, they will have godowns like godown 1, 2, 3 godowns they will have. Each being located at different places. Now, this location feature also we can update in Tally. So I've given here by default, Tally creates one location, that is main location. Now my default ledgers are cash account, profit and loss account, default cost category, we have primary cost category. Default location now we have is main location. Same principle, this can be altered but cannot be deleted. Just like ledgers, cost category can be altered but cannot be deleted. So I can change the name. I don't want the main location name to appear. I can change the name with the company's name. But other than that, I have no rights to delete them. So what is the path I have given here? Gateway of Tally, create, inventory masters, and we have this location. Now I've given the format also here, how it has to appear. If you're creating 3 locations, yeah, the bottom I've given as create 3. Preferably create 2 to 3 godowns or locations. Name, I will leave it to you. You can give name of your choice. Here I've just given as location 1, location 2, location 3. And it has to be under primary itself. You're not going to change the subgroup. Now, in case of the third party details appear, let it be no, which I've given here. In case of third party details are not appearing, there is nothing to worry, right? So let's create 3 locations in the Tally software. So I'll press the escape key and I will come back here to the gateway of Tally screen. Right, so under masters, we have the create option. Now, under inventory masters, all of you are able to find out location. Now for a few of them, it will be showing as go down. Yes. It will not be defined as location, be showing as go down. Go down, location, both mean the same. Yeah. So press enter. Moment we press enter, there is a statement first and then there's a question next, which I've explained you just now. Main location exists by default for the company, which I've told you that the default location is main location. The second question is, do you want to alter the main location or create a new location? Now here, if required, we can alter, we can change the name if you want a couple of features for the main location, or we can go for a new one. As of now, we will create a new location. So press enter on create new. Yes. So here we have the location creation screen or go down creation screen. Hope all of you have got this. Now here you have to create 3 go downs. But before creating 3 go downs, now is address detail appearing in your go down creation or location creation screen as it is appearing here?
No, ma'am.
So what we have to do is, in addition to giving the name of the go down, now every go down will be located at certain place, yes or no? Now one is in Jayanagar, one is in Vasant Nagar, one is in Maleshwaram. So each and every go down is located at different places. Now we have to give the address details for each of the locations. How can we update the same in Tally? In the go down creation or location creation screen, press F12 configuration. In the F12 configuration, you have to come under parent go down. Yes, so here you have use address for locations. Yes, please activate it, make it as yes, use address for locations. Once you make it as yes, press enter, enter, come back to the location creation screen. Now I think all of you are getting the address details. So here we are creating 3 go downs. So I'll create the first one, location 1. Under primary. If you want, you can give address details in short, need not give a detailed one or 2-line address for each of them. Accept, yes. Next, second go down. Let it be under primary, please. Don't change it to main location or any other change. Please make sure it is under primary only. Give the address details. Third go down. Yes. So like this, we are creating 3 go downs. If you want to create, you can create additional go downs for your practice, or you can create 2 to 3 go downs. So please create the go downs if you haven't done. So hope all of you have created the locations, the go downs. So this is the first step under inventory. Where we are creating the location details or the go down details. Now after this, we have a small discussion of units of measure. Later on, we can create the units of measure. Now, whenever we are purchasing any stock, right, it can be anything. If I give an example of rice, it is measured in kgs. Any liquid item, it can be oil or juice or any liquid, it is in liters, right? Now, if I go for eggs, it is dozens. Chocolates, packets or pieces. So like this, each and every commodity or product is weight is measured in terms of units. So stock items are purchased or sold on the basis of quantity. The quantity in turn is measured by units. In Tally, such goods are quantified using the units of measurement. So here we have 2 units of measurement. One we have is a simple units of measure. Second we have is this compound units of measure. Now what is simple? If you remember, I had also explained to you the 2 types of journal entries where we have a simple journal entry. Second we have is a compound journal entry. Simple journal entry where we have one debit aspect and one credit aspect. Yes. If you go for a compound journal entry, there are multiple debit aspects and multiple credit aspects. So in the same way, if we define simple units of measure, we are using only one unit of measure. That is either numbers or kilograms or packets, pieces, dozens, etc. Only one we are using to weigh that particular product or commodity. Now, if you go for a compound units of measure, we are using more than one. So here I'll give an example of one box of 12 pieces, like that, one packet of 15 numbers, one dozen of 12 numbers. So when we are using more than one, we term it as a compound units of measure. And the last point is extremely important. By default, Tally will not create any units. Tally can create a default location, main location, but Tally will not create any units because Tally will not have any idea that what is the nature of business of the user. Yes, user of the Tally Prime software. We do not have any idea what are we into. Are we a service provider or a trader? In case if we are a trader, in which item or in which product we are trading? Yes. So henceforth, Tally will not create any units of measure. So we have to create. So you must have a record of which are the default creations, which are not the default creations under units under Tally. Now, one more important point here to discuss is without creating simple units of measure, we cannot create compound units of measure. So first we have to create the simple. One by one we have to create all the units and then we have to create the compound units of measure. Okay. So this is how So the next class, we will create the units of measure. So as of now, we will not go for the creations. If you have any doubt regarding any voucher which you are not able to pass or any repetition you would like to have, let me know in the last few minutes. Or in case you have not passed the entries, please finish up the location. If you have not done, please make sure you do it. So today we will end the session by the discussion of units of measure. In the next class, we will create the units of measure, that is both simple as well as compound units of measure, so that you will know the difference between both, how each appears, that's simple and compound units of measure. And then we can further up with addition inventory concepts. Okay. So please close your company. So how will you do it? Press the escape key. Close your software. If you're not able to type the bill-wise details, you have to alter the voucher puja. So how do you alter the voucher? You have to press Alt S, Alt G, go to the option, and here you have to go to expand all. There is alter voucher option here. Or the best part is, if you're not able to make the bill-wise details, you can go to the daybook and you can select that voucher for Maruti Enterprises, the last one. Press enter on that, and whatever alterations you want to make, you can make it. Just keep pressing enter. Yes, so here you can give the bill-wise details. Okay. So I hope you have got your doubt resolved.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So I hope it's clear to all of you till now. Please practice, and I'll meet you in the next session. Have a good day. Thank you.